All right. So first things first, when I do these paint nights, I really try and stress that we're here to have fun. We're not here to freak out or think like I'm not doing good. I'm having fun. Okay. We are going to do our best to follow along. And if you feel like you need help, you're welcome to ask as we go from here. All right, so you should have a set of brushes. If you haven't opened those already, go ahead and open those up. Most of you, I think all of you but one, have a brand new set of brushes, and the one person who didn't have a brand new set had really, really clean ones. Um, the brushes tend to have a little bit of a stiffness to them, and what it is the company puts a chemical on it, on the bristles, to keep them looking pretty, so you want to buy the brushes, and it just dissolves in water. Okay, so if you want to put your brush into the water, swirl it around a little bit, and that's totally fine by me. So we're going to start out with the purple, light blue, and black. I got myself a cup of water. I got my brushes. I got my canvas. um, so what we're going to do is we don't need to add water to this paint. I know some people think these kind of paints are like um, watercolors and they want to add water to it. You don't have to. These are pretty liquidy. So I'm using this great big brush. It's a number 7. I'm not sure if you have a number 7, but it's a number 7. And a lot of times at these paint nights, they just call it a pop-up brush. Okay, so we're going to start with that purple. We're just going to smear it around on the top, making it thin. If you like the idea of brush strokes, you're welcome to leave the brush strokes all choppy. If you like it smooth, you can leave it smooth. So somewhere nearish the top third needs to be purple. And some folks, when they do these paint nights, like to put the paint around the corner of the painting. This makes it so that when you hang it up at home, that you don't have to have a frame. It'll hang on the wall, and the painting looks totally normal on the wall. And then up here on the top. Don't forget the top. If you like the idea of it being a straight line, great, but it does not have to be a perfectly straight line. You know, you can make it fade down just a little bit on one side if that's what you like. After we do that top third of purple, we're going to do the bottom half of purple. So there's my purple. I'm going to rinse that brush off, and I'm going to come go check on folks who are here. See how we're doing. Very nice. Looks good. Okay. Because right now I'm thinking yours is the one that's going to be it.
Okay, I just want to figure out how to do the wings kind of.
Okay. If you get one set to look good, we can trace it onto yours.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. It's a little heavy right there. All right, cool stuff. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. Realize that on the screen here at the school, we have a picture of what we're painting, but on the video, we don't have that picture. So I'm going to just make that available there to look at. Okay, so now I'm going to go and grab my light blue, and I'm going to start working it into this white area. This is going to, while I'm going to focus on the white area, but ideally I want that purple to be dry before I start messing around on that edge. Yeah, if the purple's wet and you touch the blue to the purple, you get some blue purple or blue violet. So you got to be kind of careful with that. Okay, and I'm just going to smooth out that edge with a nice steady brush stroke. Does not have to be a straight line, but I'm just trying to make it a little smoother than it was. You're right. Oh, let me get that blue on that. I always forget one person. All right, so I've got my blue kind of on there. It's still wet, and I'm gonna just touch my white with my brush that still has blue in it. Make a lighter blue, and then I'm gonna just sort of do some swirls in that foggy cloud. Most of this is going to be covered by the moon anyway, so you can kind of have some fun and know that most of it's going to get covered up. Okay. Now we need this to dry a little bit. So at some point you're going to have to stop messing with it, because every time you touch it, you're adding fresh wet paint to it. So we need it to dry some. We're going to add that moon on there. We're going to start by adding just a white, but we need it to dry first. While that's drying, we could start drawing the tree. Okay, we won't be able to finish the tree, but we can start the tree. So let's go ahead and just wash out our big brush. Get it really wet, and then use your paper towel and just kind of dab it dry. All right. I think I'm going to pause this and hopefully not forget to turn it back on. All right, so we do need to let this dry a little bit. I did push pause and I fanned the canvas a little bit. You could also use a hair dryer to get it to dry faster. But while we're waiting for the cloud stuff to dry a little bit, we're going to paint part of our tree. All right, so you may have a white bristled brushes, or you might have some orange bristled brushes. Either way, you're going for the biggest one, the biggest of the brushes. Okay. The only difference is mine has angled bristles, and you might have straight bristles, and that's no big deal. Okay, so we're gonna get our paint on a brush, just the tip of the brush. And we're gonna start here with the roots, and we're gonna just give it just a squiggly line at the bottom. And then we're gonna fill that space in. Apparently my purple's still a little wet. All right, so this is the roots. And then from there, we're going to go up and make the trunk of the tree. So I'm going to come up here near my cloud, and I'm going to make just a bit of a wavy line down to my roots. And I'm going to thicken that line up. Because it's a tree, this is kind of the awesome thing about trees, is there's really no wrong way to paint a tree, because trees come in all shapes and sizes and uniquenesses. I tend to tell people when they're painting trees that they're really any tree you paint is going to be pretty close to right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the top of this. So this is one split up here, and then the other split's going to happen here, and it's going to actually go off the side of the canvas. Because the trunk is thicker, see the whole thing on there. All right, and because I decided early on I was going to paint the edge, I can actually play around with that tree just a little bit and make the tree a part of this back edge. So I've got that trunk and the split or fork in the branches on there. Okay, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to continue it up past the cloud up into the sky. There's really no wrong way to paint a tree. I tend to work with the tip of the brush, make myself a couple lines, give myself an idea of where I want it to go. So I've got that one. I do want it to get thinner as I go up. Eventually you'll get to the point where you want it to feel more like fingers and less like thick branches. You can decide when you want that to happen. How many branches you have is completely up to you. All I ask is that you don't take the thick branches beyond. Don't go over here because we still have to paint the moon. So we're going to have another branch that comes over here in front of the moon and all that stuff. But for now, I can have some fun with branches up here. If you want to look at that example, you can. You can make your branches look exactly like that guy's, but you don't have to. You can just have some fun with the branches. Okay. So I'm starting to get to a point where I'm ready to add my moon. I know I need to add more branches, but I don't want the branches to get in the way of my moon. Because when we paint, we try and paint in layers, back to front, top to bottom, as much as we can. So I'm going to clean that brush, let it sit. I'll come back to it when I'm ready. Okay. So we're going to need some orange. Not sure if you want to deal with that now. The most modest. All right. In a perfect world, this would all be dry, and the paint we're about to apply would not be affected by the canvas paint, right? But we don't live in a perfect world. You might have a little bit of wet blue on there. We're gonna test this out. Okay, I'm gonna use my orange, and I'm gonna start. Yeah, my blue's wet. All right, I'm gonna add some white to my orange. Start small and get bigger. We are going to go over this. Get it as thin as you can. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit. I'm going to hit pause, and so while the moon is drying, I'm gonna work a little more on the tree. I think I'm gonna add a few branches that come up underneath. One. All right. At some point, we're gonna have to also get to that jack-o'-lantern. So we can start on that at any point because it's sort of independent of the moon. I've been kind of dragging my feet on it only because it has that sort of swirl of orange behind it, and we can kill two birds with one stone by painting our moon orange and that swirl, that smear at the same time. All right, so I think I'm gonna try and add my smear and my orange on my cloud and see how it goes. So I'm just gonna put just a smear of orange over here. And the idea here is to make it's supposed to be, I believe, the light from the jack-o'-lantern is leaking out of the pumpkin. I could be wrong. It could be something else. I don't know. All right, orange on the moon. Look at that. It's looking pretty orangey. So while my orange is looking very wet and orangey, I'm going to use some white, and I'm just going to add some smears onto the moon. The more you smear the smear, the less of a smear it will look, and it'll just look like it's blended. All right, so I've got my moon and my smear. I think I'm gonna keep working on my tree a little bit more. While I'm waiting for that orange to dry, I'm gonna add a little bit of a ground, my black. Okay, so we're getting close to the point of making the jack-o'-lantern. Okay, you can always come back and fiddle around with some of the stuff that you're playing with now, but I think it would be wise to get started on the jack-o'-lantern. Okay, so you could use a round brush, any one of these round ones, or you could use just the edge of a flat brush. It's totally up to you to do what we're about to do. We're going to draw the face, but we're going to draw it with our orange. So I've got my orange, and I'm going to make my face. I can come back with some white. To make the mouth, what you really are doing is drawing the spaces between the teeth first. So I'll draw the smile. And then I'll draw the spaces between the teeth. The upside to this being a painting is if you mess up, that's totally okay because you can paint over it. If you don't like a particular shape that you've made, you can always just wait for it to dry and go over it. Once you have that face on there, then we're just going to go around that with the black. And I'm going to draw the outside edge of my pumpkin first. And now I'm feeling like my face is too small on there. I'm going to go back and add a little more orange into the eyes. All right, sorry about that. We started adding stars, and I forgot I had pushed pause. We're just adding some stars up here in the sky. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some highlights onto my pumpkin. You kind of do want to wait for it to dry mostly so that the whites stand out sharply. I'm using just the tip of my brush. I can also add some highlights to my tree. The final thing you want to do with your white is come down here in the corner and put your initials or your name. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed your time.